Oh, gotta flip it. There you go. Hey, listen, we're here. Thank you, Val, so much. Episode 7 of the TED Show. We are live on Facebook with Justin Graham. And Val just helped me because Charnel is gone. Wave hi to everybody, Val. Come on in the picture. There she is. She helped us get set up. It's awesome. Wow. I definitely need Charnel's help a lot. But we are here with Justin Graham. Justin and I, and thanks for joining us, by the way. And are you seeing it on your phones? Is everybody hearing me? I see people starting to come up. Justin, and we're at a different angle today, so bear with us because this is why I need Charnel or somebody to help me all the time. Justin and I met. He's actually probably the newest person that I've put on the show that I've known. Like I haven't known you as long as everybody else.
I'm honored, though.
Oh well, thank you. I'm honored, and we'll talk about how honored I am very soon. Here we go. So it's starting,
All right.
and you guys are patient, and I appreciate that. It'll give you guys a minute to come on, and the service here is not as bad yesterday as it was at the Rose and Shingle. But I at least want to try to get your comments, and if I miss them, please don't think I'm ignoring you. I'll get to them later. But Justin and I met about a month ago, or 2 months, and we met through our mutual friend Brent Morse, who is a commercial real estate agent, and he brought Justin and Ricky Richter over from Citrus County, Polk County. You live in one of those counties, and just immediately we had a great bond. I think that what he has done with his life and what he's working on, his life's projects, are awesome and something that everybody, I think, and I'm trying to get to your comments, I'm sorry, give me a second. I think everybody will benefit from, because he's also got some business tips that he wants to talk about. One of them is probably how to not do a Facebook Live where you're unprepared, and it's okay, because literally I don't know. Charnel's usually here to do all this stuff for me. The other thing normally is that the club's internet is a little better, and right now we're kind of struggling with that, unfortunately. So Justin is a veteran, and I think I put it on the post that I'm such a fan of veterans. I'm a big supporter. I think that you're probably the most underserved community or group of people, and that we need to do a better job as a country of taking care of you. That's neither here nor there, or for this particular conversation.
Yeah, we need an episode for that.
We need an episode for that, and I could have a whole group on to talk about that. But what I found interesting about Justin is that not only has he served our country, but he has projects that I think are so cool. One of them has to do with preserving World War II veterans and their stories through photography. And he also does business photography, meaning if you need something, a headshot, a business profile, anything to do with photography or video, Justin will help you shoot it. And that's what he did for our friend Brent.
That's right.
And also what he did for our friend Ricky. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit since I've been doing all the talking. I'm going to try to pull this up so I can answer some of the questions because I see them rolling down. And then you give us a little bit of history. Tell us about your service, and then tell us about what moved you into photography and what you do now.
Okay. Right out of high school, I joined the Army in 2004.
Thank you for serving.
I was a infantryman. I was a paratrooper for 4 years, deployed twice to Iraq. After that, I got out and I started getting into protection work. So I did diplomatic security, high threat protection, Iraq, Israel, and Afghanistan.
Well, I bet you have stories.
I have a few stories.
None of which we can share because we don't want Secret Service here.
My time in Israel is actually where I got introduced into photography. I actually had a team leader that was also into photography, and it just kind of caught my attention. So bought a camera, and there's really no better place if you're getting into photography than downtown Jerusalem. So that turned out pretty cool, and that just kind of grew with me. And I'd come home between rotations. I'd do some family photo shoots, just stuff like that. And of course, every time I would travel, I was always taking shots.
Sure.
So that's kind of how it grew and developed. And then this last year, I left the security world and started my photography business full time.
So I've never been to Jerusalem. I'd love to. Tell us about that. So there's obviously amazing history there. How is the safety there? I get asked that question a lot.
Jerusalem's very safe. If you have a chance, you should definitely visit Israel. Definitely check out Jerusalem. If you're into history, whether you're religious or not, it's just fantastic. There's so much to see. You have to plan a few weeks to even get everything in, really. But it's very safe. They really have it all locked down there.
And what was you were there? You were deployed there.
Right. I did diplomatic security, so I worked for the consulate.
Steve Fulmer says airborne.
That's right.
What up, buddy? Maybe you know Steve Fulmer.
Don't by name, but.
Oh, so John Maple, who's actually also a photographer here in town, extraordinaire, and owns a software company, but
right.
His passion is software. He said, how about some photo tips, which we will get to, John.
Absolutely.
Thank you, pretty happy Friday Eve to you, too. So you decided, all right, so photography. Was it cathartic? Is that why you got into it? Or tell us what interested you about it.
I mean, I've always been, when I say artistic, like I've always been interested in that, throughout really grade school, doing drawing or painting in art class. I always enjoyed it. And when I joined the military, I didn't have time for that. I kind of stepped away from it. But I love to travel, be in the outdoors, go hiking and sightseeing and just do stuff like that. And when I found photography, it was kind of a way to bring back that artistic side, but use it in my everyday life. So, I didn't have to stop and set up something and draw. It's just, you got your camera with you, and when you see something cool, you compose the shot, and you got it.
How do you make, when I take a picture, it usually looks like a 4-year-old took it.
Right.
So how did you go from not having any real experience? Was it just trial and error?
I mean, there's all rules, like when it comes to the art world, really, I think are meant to be broken, but there are some rules of composition that you follow initially, and it helps you sort of get a bearing on what is pleasing to most people's eyes, and then you kind of develop what your style is and what's pleasing to your eye. On top of that, the way you figure out your style is you go into a town and you shoot about 1,000 pictures in one day, and then you have to go sort through all that, and you decide, wow, I'm tired of sorting through 1,000 photos today. Let me take less and make them count a little bit more. So then the next time you do maybe 700. Next time weed it down to 500, and then eventually, I'd say about my second or third year into doing photography, I would go into, say, downtown Jerusalem, and I would shoot and take 70 pictures versus legitimately about 700 or 800 every day that I would go out shooting, and you would just have to weed through that. So you get better at choosing what is a good photograph, and you kind of avoid all the other stuff.
And how did you make the transition from, okay, I'm going to do this because it's my hobby, I enjoy it, to making it more of a business? Because you took a leap, because you were private security.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about the guy downstairs. We're talking about real private security, crazy private security, right?
Not too crazy.
No, not too crazy. Totally crazy is what he's saying. But how do you make the leap and go, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the chance, and I'm going to do this full time, and I want to do it and make it my career or my life's work.
Well, as absolutely cliche as it is, if you do what you love, you're never going to work a day in your life, right? So, I feel I have a good eye, and I'm good enough to make it a business, so why not at least take that leap of faith? So that's what I did, and here I am.
And so we'll get to the veterans in a little bit, and I see all your questions coming up. Facebook's not being very helpful right now, so we always have this trouble, so I promise you we will answer your questions. But how did you make the leap from, okay, I'm taking pictures and I want to do something with business, which we'll get back to your current project, which is all about World War II veterans, or one of your projects? So, I mean,
that's a personal project, and, I think it's important as a photographer, and a lot of the major photographers do it, where you pick a project that means something to you, and you just kind of develop your skill on it. And it's not making you money. It's not the business side of your photography. It's just to put something to put your passion into. So I've been thinking about it, and all the World War II veterans that are out there, they're in their 90s, at least late 80s now, and how much longer is that history really going to be available to us? So, there are tons of World War II history books talking about what they did back then, but I wanted to capture who they are now and what they've become since then. And so I want to do a project, and I call it, it's kind of the name I came up with, it's my Greatest Generation project.
I love that.
And
that's awesome.
So far, I've shot a Iwo Jima first wave survivor.
How was that? Because that's a whole different level. Not to discount anybody's service, but that has such there's so much bloodshed during that.
His name is George. And I believe he's 91 years old, and he was in the first wave onto Iwo Jima. I want to say he was wounded 4 times within the first 2 days of fighting.
Wow.
And, when I heard, I'm part of the VFW, and when they told, and I brought up my project, and at first people were kind of a little skeptical. What are you going to use this for? What's your goals? And once they meet me, once I talk to them, they realize it's literally just to kind of get their story out there.
But you also have credibility because you're a veteran. I found a lot of times
I don't think it would have worked if I wasn't a part of the VFW and part of that community. So I hear about George, and they tell me, hey, he generally comes in on this night. He's going to be here for for this event we're having. You might be able to meet him. So I brought my photography gear down there. I waited for a while, and finally he showed up. Him and his family, and he was just the nicest guy you've ever met. And so I asked him, hey, can I take your photo? I want to get your portrait. I want to get your story. And he agreed to it. So I took him in the back room, and I set up my full, get up with the flashes and all that stuff. And when I was finally ready to take the picture, it took me 15 or 20 shots to even get a remotely serious one out of him. When I first said, all right, pose it up, George, let's get this done, the first thing he did was hold his cane and do this. And just I could not get him to even be remotely
the zest for life
serious.
At that age. That's
absolutely.
Awesome.
He just wanted to tell me jokes, and he's just a very happy guy. And I feel that the portrait that I took of him really captured that. It was very caring, nice smile on his face. And for a guy that's gone through what is probably one of the worst events that anybody can truly go to, the fact that he's just one of the happiest people I've ever met, it's inspiring. So.
And a lot of veterans, especially of that era, a lot of them haven't talked about their service. Like my grandfather, who was in World War II, really barely ever talked about the actual service or the war part of it. Well, with Iwo Jima, I don't know how you don't talk about that, but for some of them, it was so much better to bury it. Yeah. So how awesome that you're able to get their stories out. Because I work with veterans a lot, I've talked to family members who say, once I've talked to the veteran, they've never shared that story with me before. Yeah. And a lot of them don't share it with their families. I don't think it's a purposeful thing. It's just kind of like it was my job, especially that generation. Yeah. It was my job, and that's what I did.
It's coming out a little bit more now in my generation because there was a very big gap there for a while without a serious war going on, right?
Correct.
So now you have all these younger kids that really wouldn't have been, they would not have opened up to about it, but now they've experienced that side of things. So this is really kind of one of the first times where they'll open up to a stranger they don't know, but you have that commonality of being a veteran.
Because they know that you've experienced what they've experienced, and I have not.
Right.
So why would I not feel more comfortable with you? So Bob K says, Bob, thanks for posting that. The National Endowment for Humanities and State Humanities Councils may be funding sources for your World War II Veterans Project. As you know, he provides, which you don't know, but now you know, planning and fundraising services for nonprofit organizations. So, Bob, I'll make sure that Justin reaches out to you.
Absolutely.
And Justin's website, by the way, on the photography is justingrahamphoto.com. So, justingrahamphoto.com. But thanks for that comment. And then somebody said, which I have to call him out because I love it, nice beard. Thank you, Stephanie, for... I know you're not talking about me because, wow, mine's all gray. All right, so you interviewed them, but what's interesting is where you live, you seem to have a higher concentration of World War II vets, which is awesome.
And of course they'll tell me at the VA, like, oh, I wish you would have been here a couple of years ago. There were even more, which I think is why the project's so important right now, because they're not getting any younger. So my main purpose of this is, again, to capture the story through a portrait. My end vision for this is to have, let's say, if it's going to be in book form, have the portrait I took, and then on the second one that I just took of the D-Day veteran that landed on Utah Beach with the Navy, I actually had a photo of him when he joined the Navy. Back in, I think it was 1942. So, I actually have his photo with the picture of him as a young sailor.
That's crazy.
And then his brief,
awesome.
kind of his brief story, where he's been, kind of the awards that they've gotten, campaigns they were with, the units they were in, and I more want to tell the story through the photograph itself.
Sure.
So that's.
I feel like that group, and all veterans, I feel like, are humble because I don't know why, but you guys really, you kind of keep to yourselves and you don't ask for help a lot. Which is why there's so many of us that really need to be more proactive for our veterans. Big proponent of that, which I could spend an entire show on. Which once I get it, Justin's going to help me with some of my things, like I don't have to get up and push the button to close this little low-rent showdown. All right, so you're capturing that, but you also do business. You work with people. So Brent Morse, like I mentioned earlier, and we should have invited Brent here, he's a commercial realtor, and you did some photos of him that are awesome. And then you helped it because Brent hated Facebook. He barely was on Instagram. He didn't have a portrait. He didn't have any of that. But when he met Justin, he realized that was the right thing to do. And the stuff that you captured for him was awesome. And teaching him how to do video. This is not an example of video. What he was taught him to do is real video.
Oh, well, Ricky Ricker definitely helped him out.
Yeah, we're going to bring Ricky on the show too.
Social media, presence.
But that was awesome. I think the way that you portrayed him, it looked so clean and professional. Yet you felt like, okay, that's a character I'd like to do business with.
Absolutely, and Brent's a serious business person, and if you're serious about your business, you owe it to yourself to have a serious portrayal of yourself. The day of, anybody can have a cell phone selfie or, just kind of a quick snap in the mirror, have a friend take it with your cell phone, but that's not going to cut it. And it's not just that it's going to possibly hold you back business-wise, but really, are you portraying yourself to your full potential? And, the shots that we did for Brent, I think it really brought out just how much of a business character he is.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So, for all of my real estate friends, and you guys know who you are, the glamour shots from 1994 need to go because you don't look like that anymore. No offense, but we all know it, and you should have a current photo, and a current photo that isn't done on a selfie, that captures you, and that should be on all of your social media, on your business cards. People respond to that better, but I'll let Justin talk a little bit more about that.
If you're going to build a strong brand of yourself or a brand for your company, you need to have the photography to back that up. Everybody's been there where you're on the internet, you're shopping, you want a specific item. You've even heard the item itself is good, but then you get to a website, or you're at least comparing two similar items. You get to one website, and somebody took the pictures with the cell phone, or the website's garbage. You go to the next one, it's a great setup, easy to navigate, proper photography. Who are you going to buy from? It's a no-brainer. You said this guy took himself seriously enough to get professional photos done of himself or his business. So, in turn, you take him seriously and you choose him when you make your purchase.
That's actually a great point. Like the ones where I'm meeting someone and I look at their picture from their website or from their business card that somebody gave me, and they walk in a room and I don't recognize them.
No.
That doesn't show any professionalism, and it's not like it's a giant amount of investment in order to get your professional photograph done.
I've literally, and I have to bring this up, somewhere on the turnpike heading south on the way to Orlando, there's actually a billboard for a lawyer, and she has billboard representation, yet her picture on the billboard is a cell phone selfie in a car. So I don't know how you go about actually paying for billboard advertisement, but not the appropriate photograph to put on the billboard. So to me, I wouldn't call her personally, just because how do you make that who you are for everybody to see?
I agree, but I think maybe she should be called personally, don't you? I think that can you all still hear me? Good. Because this is my low battery 20% just came up, but I think you can still hear me. I think that kind of person somebody needs to call them. It's like when you're sitting across from someone who's got broccoli in their teeth.
You need to let them know the broccoli.
You have to let them know, or they have a bat in a cave.
Yeah.
You have to let people know that.
Yeah.
And I would want to know if it looks bad. Like the picture I currently have, not professionally done. Well, I think it was professionally taken at an event. But oh good, thanks Stacy, we can hear, that's good. It's a great picture, and everybody else who's taken my picture, I feel like they needed to Photoshop my cheeks and my chin out of there. It wasn't done in a way that was good for me. It didn't make me look good. And I realize that there are flaws that you cannot cover. You're not a miracle worker, but you're pretty close. So your talent is making sure you take the right picture that's good for that person,
right,
that reflects that
posing
person.
And angles are very important.
And lighting.
And lighting, exactly.
Which is why we're kind of facing here, which is why our lighting, even though it doesn't look good right now on there, it's only because that sign's up there. Our lighting here is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
I tried to shoot the show over there, and it was dark and reflective.
And you have the light behind you.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. But you're the professional, so a lot of people would want to know. All right, so do I come to your studio? Do you come to me? How does that work?
So I actually come to you. I have a full travel studio setup, and it's especially beneficial to people like, let's say, lawyers, real estate agents, things like that, where you have very limited time. Okay, so real estate agents, all of them that I know, they're running around like crazy people constantly. So what I do
all would agree.
I can schedule a period of time that you are, say, between meetings. You have 45 minutes available. I'll get there a little bit early. I'll set up, and when you're back from your meeting, you come in. I work with you, and I get the shots that you need for your headshots. And I can actually set up to where I can do an entire office and just run everybody through that needs it. That's really good for things like business cards, LinkedIn profile shots, stuff like that. And then I have kind of a higher caliber of a package that I would do for somebody where it's more creative. Like I did the normal headshots for Brent, but I also did like the more creative, energetic photos.
You did.
And that's going to take a little more time. We do need to set aside some time, but again, I come to you, we use your boardroom, we use your office, we use some blank space, I bring everything and we set up at your location.
That's cool. I mean, I think a lot of people need that, but they're afraid of it. Anytime somebody says headshots, I run.
Yeah.
And it's only because I haven't had a great experience with that.
You know, that does make sense now, because this all started with me telling you I need to do a real photo for you for the show, and you deflected by inviting me onto the show.
Oh, who here believes I deflect? It's all lies. Hashtag lies. It's true. It's actually true. I don't enjoy it, but I also haven't been in front of someone. I mean, if you go to a shoot and you're one of 40 people, it's kind of like getting your senior picture taken.
Yeah.
Do we even get senior pictures taken anymore? Nobody.
We do.
I guess we do, but I used to have it taken, and you'd have the half gown on and the cap, and you'd be in your shorts because it was summer. I run from that because I've never had a great experience.
Well, I think the point of it is for the photographers to make the experience enjoyable. I mean, realistically, if you're not kind of cutting up a little bit, laughing and joking during the experience, if you walk in and you don't talk to the person you're photographing, they're not going to be comfortable with you.
Correct.
So it should be a fun experience. You should just be kind of hanging out and taking the photos at the same time, accomplishing what you need to. But everybody I've worked with, we end up, kind of connecting. You keep in touch afterwards, but you have to develop at least a mini relationship there, or it's not going to work.
I mean, I would imagine anybody who's listening or watching, you probably hate your picture. And if you don't, it's because you had it professionally done and it's not a selfie. How about veterans? What if people know World War II vets, and are you still you're gathering them, so you're interested? So it's not.
This is so far has been all word of mouth. Like I kind of tell people what I'm looking for, and the bartender at the VFW says, "Oh, hey, we have this guy. Here's his information." And I start talking to them and sort of work towards setting up a time to meet them where I can and do their photograph. So if you have somebody that is a World War II veteran, my main goal for it is I want a combat veteran, though, somebody who saw combat in World War II.
Okay. So combat vet, and then it's the best way to do that going to JustinGrahamPhoto.com and
Absolutely. You can go to
reaching out.
JustinGrahamPhoto.com. You can reach me there. You can go to JustinGrahamPhoto@gmail.com. and send me a message.
JustinGrahamPhoto@gmail.com. But I think that all of us, most of us know a World War II vet,
Right.
and we're talking about 70. Yeah, wow. So that all of that is going to go away, and if we can get the personal histories and the personal stories. So tell me one thing that we as civilians, for lack of a better word, can do better to help veterans. Because I know most of us want to. So we donate to charities that we don't necessarily know about. Correct.
So that's definitely helpful. There's a lot out there that veterans do need, and there are a lot of services available to them. But let's say, like, if I ever do actually make a dime off of this project, one thing I was looking at putting it towards would be TBI research. That's kind of like...
Yes, talk about that. Talk about TBI. Traumatic
TBI,
brain injury.
Traumatic brain injury. Back in the day, if a bomb went off next to you, you probably just didn't survive. But now with all our armor and stuff, you're surviving, but you have brain damage from it. And it's... people don't know the full effects of it right now, but there are a lot of veterans that are suffering from it. And the effects could take place immediately, or they could take place 10 years from now. So there's a lot of research that needs to be done into it, and that's something that I would like to kind of focus the efforts of that.
Is there a charity that works with TBI that you work with?
I don't know.
Well, that's interesting, because I would think, and thank you, Dave, for that comment. He says he's getting some interference, so hopefully we're speaking loud enough. You're the first one to say that, so thank you for saying that. It is kind of loud in here today, but we switched sides, and I've got a microphone on that nobody set up except me, so forgive me, it's my problem. But thanks for saying that, David. David's also a videographer, photographer. But I think if there has to be a group, right?
You do have things like Wounded Warriors, stuff like that. But there are private organizations that do help out, veterans. Like I think it's Department of American Veterans, something like DAV. I think that's one of them. There's a lot of good stuff out there that at least help people see. They point them in the right direction for their medical treatment. But TBI specifically is just important to me because I know multiple people that do suffer from it, and it can sneak up on you pretty quick.
Sure. And what's the one thing? And we'll end in a bit. What's the one thing from your service that you took away that's impacted your business life or your personal life? What changed you when you went into the service, when you came out of the service?
I'd say what I apply to is like meticulous planning, I guess. Like you plan it right, you get it done. You can work within a serious time constraint or under pressure. It doesn't really affect you for the job. You're not flustered by the
well, because the stress you experienced in a war scenario or a combat scenario is nothing like we experience here in a business scenario. It's not the same. So I get that. I actually have had that answer a lot. Vets say, listen, I can... What do they say? My father-in-law, who was a World War II vet, used to say, I eat stress for breakfast.
Yep.
And I think that that's sort of the thought process. Anything here is not going to be anywhere near as stressful as life or death over there.
Right.
So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Wait, David Pamala says, there's not enough to help the demand of those in need. We would all agree with that.
Yeah.
That's why I asked what we can do to help you better. We don't know. Like, we want to help. We all want to donate. Like, we donate to Wounded Warriors. We donate to... There's several charities that come up here that are service-oriented, veteran-oriented, but we don't have a personal involvement with them. A lot of people would love to do hands-on stuff.
Well, I think if you want to find the associations that actually are helping veterans, try asking the veterans and see what has helped them.
That's a great idea.
So if you know a older veteran that uses those services, that is involved with the VA and things like that, ask him what services he actually needs that he's lacking, or ask him who has actually helped him in the past, because he might have gotten in touch with a certain organization and they didn't really do very much for him. So ask who's actually been doing work for you, and then you'll know where to put your energy into.
All right, so we're going to shut down. We're at 30 minutes, if you can believe it. So anybody want to reach out to Justin, it's justingrahamphoto.com. justingrahamphoto@gmail.com or justingrahamphoto@gmail.com. Thank you so much for being on the
you for
show.
having me, Ted.
Oh my gosh! So we have all these comments, and and Joe Harris, you just joined. Reach out to Justin directly, or reach out to me. I love having anyone on here who does great things for our veterans, and thank you for serving. Appreciate that so much. All right, so now you get to see the low rent version of what we're doing. David's dad's a vet of 30 years. I'm going to take off my mic, and I'm going to say sayonara until tomorrow. And thank you guys for tuning in. We got a lot of great comments, and I promise you I will reach out to all of you, and I will give you Justin's information directly, all of you who have asked questions. Thanks again for supporting the TED Show. Have a great one.